Welcome back to my channel. This is now weekly vlog number 7, I think, and it is Saturday the 25th of January 2025. Hold on, 25/01/25? It is, I just checked. And yesterday was 1500 days since being locked. 1500 days since I started my Locs journey, and I didn't even realize I wasn't counting down to it or anything, but I was considering putting a post out there, so I was curious. I didn't actually do the post in the end, and when I looked, it was 1500 days. So today is day 1501 on my Locs journey. But anyway, before I get carried away, this week's intentions all wrap up into one thing. So I've only actually had one intention for this week, and it has evolved throughout the week, and it has been very present in me this week. It's not even something that I set out to do, but it's something that I felt I was required to do. So the one and only intention for this week is to rest. To rest. This week's intention is all about rest, and rest has come in the form of reading for me this week. That's how rest has shown up for me. That's how rest has required me to show up. And it's been really powerful. At points, it's been overwhelming. The rest has been overwhelming because in those moments of rest, in those moments of being obedient and disciplined to resting this week, or making rest my top priority, like the realizations I've had, the revelations I've had, I almost want to cry, like just thinking about it, being in the presence of the power of rest. I almost want to cry. Like it's so tangible. It's so tangible, and I'm so grateful for it. Now I'm going to share a few things with you in terms of the books that are currently on my active reading list. Just to define what active reading list means to me, it means the books that I'm actively reading, meaning I'm in the middle of them, or I'm at a point within them and I'm actively reading them, because I do have books that I've started or that I've opened, but I haven't been actively reading them. So I've opened them in the past. I am very aware that there are books that I've started, opened, and not finished. And I do like to finish books, but I also follow my guide in terms of what I should be focusing on. And I'm gonna start with a book that I started reading last year. So it's Power Moves by Sarah Jakes Roberts. I'm going to share a small snippet from the recent chapter I read on the train to Birmingham. So if you watched my last vlog, then you'll know that I traveled to Birmingham recently. So it says, there's something to be said about being in relationship with God long enough that you move from the space of uncertainty about how things work together to a place of knowing. And I circled or squared place of knowing. That's what I'm feeling increasingly as I move through life, that I'm in a place of knowing, to the point where I'm doing a daily note of at least 3 things that have made me feel love in my life this year. That's one of my goals, to attract more healthy, loving relationships into my life by seeing the love that already exists in my life. But yesterday was the first day that I only wrote one thing. And the one thing that I wrote down was knowing who I am. That was a realization that came to me with absolute clarity yesterday. So I felt as though I've known who I am for some time. But yesterday, I felt like it was the first time I really said it and owned it and believed it. And so I wrote it down, and something told me, Olivia, you don't need to write down anything else. That's all you needed to write down today. So that was yesterday. Now I'm going to get into the more fiction books that I'm reading, that are currently on my reading list. A Man in Full by Tom Wolfe. I am enjoying this book. It is, I want to say surprisingly engaging, but it's a heavy duty book. The font is quite small compared to other books that I'm familiar with, and it's thick. It's in my region of page count. I call that my personal breaks book. So I read that book during personal breaks, and I'm currently at the beginning of a new chapter, which is fine because I try not to stay in the middle of a chapter for too long. I like to complete chapters, but I may not complete it in a single reading session, if that makes sense. But as soon as I can, I will finish up the chapter. So I'm reading that book. It's very interesting because whilst it's fictional, I'm learning stuff about Atlanta back in the day, and it's got a strong corporate focus. So that's really interesting. The author is also new to me. I've never read a book by this author before, never heard of him before I picked up this book. And so I'm really enjoying it. Like, it's a slow burn, and I like a slow burn. It's intellectually challenging and stimulating, and I love that. I'm really enjoying this in terms of just feeding my mind on that type of genre and that type of writing style. Okay, so the next one that I'm reading, now this book was purely for leisure at first, but it's been inspiring for me in so many different ways. It's been inspiring for me as a reader, but also the way this book has made me feel really grateful for the luxuries I have in my life is a feeling I can't explain, because the experiences of the characters in this book, like, I'm just thinking, oh my gosh. I think it's because of how raw the book is. It's so raw, and there are some jaw-dropping, shocking moments from the language that is used to the experiences of the characters, the fictional characters in the storylines. But at the same time, there's a sense of like humanity. There's a connection that I have, and it's just like, wow, if this is a reality for someone, meaning when I'm reading a scene or when I'm following a storyline, I'm like, if this is a reality for someone in real life, then I have nothing to complain about. Like, or I am grateful for what I have and the journey my life has taken, because it's a bit profound. Not a bit profound, it is profound. It is, there are some dark elements to this, but the dark elements I know is real for someone out there. So it's very moving, but also entertaining. Like, I have laughed at this book, or laughed at some of the things that have happened in this book. Chances by Jackie Collins. I forgot that it's split into different books within the book. So I forgot that I started in book 1, because when I was reading and I saw book 2 coming up, I was like, what do you mean book 2? I forgot that the chapters are in compact sections. So I'm now at the start of a new chapter, but it's also a new section, book 2, and that I'm looking forward to reading. So I'm over halfway through in this now. Increasingly, as I move through the book, I'm making more annotations, I'm underlining more things, because it started off as purely reading for curiosity, for leisure, for downtime. This is my bedtime book, so this is the book that I read at the end of the day once I've got ready for bed, and part of my unwind routine, my evening routine. If I have energy in me, if I don't feel as though my eyes are going to start watering straight away, because my eyes start to water when I'm ready to sleep. At times my eyes will start watering whilst I'm like maybe 5 or 10 pages away from the end of the chapter. So sometimes I push through, other times I'm just like, I surrender to the need for sleep, and then I just finish up the chapter when I can. So typically I read that at the end of the day. However, on Wednesday, I had an open diary for me to get things done, and I have a laundry list of things to do. And yet when Wednesday came, I had a very clear instruction to just read. And that's the book that I read. So the pages were turning, pages were turning. I'm going to share with you clips of that, because I did capture some of that, of me just reading this book and just... Hold on. What? Well, she hasn't. Wild. Yep. Flick the switch. Damn, this boiled back. Cause Goldie ain't your proper friend. That is not a friend. If you don't want to drink, then your friend should respect that you don't want to drink, because alcohol. Hold on. Whose baby is it? Because she slept with 2 men on the same night. Hold up. I'm not ready. 2 years later, or is this a year? This is a year. Oh, please. Yeah, I put aside any to-dos and I just focused on being a reader, being in fiction worlds, being inspired, feeling. And so yeah, I had moments where I felt like this is exactly what I was supposed to do today. So the last one I'm going to show you is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This book I've had on my shelf for years. But I didn't know much about the author or the book. I just saw it. I think the cover and the title just caught my attention at the time. And then I just never read it. And I wasn't really someone who read a lot of fantasy and stuff like that. So I was just caught by, dare I say it, the cover. The cover can really pull me in. But when I found out last year what the author actually looked like, oh my gosh, I was like, okay, so now I definitely have to read, because when I saw the author and felt immediately represented by the author in the literary space, and because I had newly let go of a limiting belief that I couldn't write, and especially not creative writing, even though I expressed myself through words a lot. But yeah, I had this, I was chained to this belief that I couldn't creatively write, at least, or I was heavily critical of my writing. Any writing that I did do, I'd overthink it and second guess myself and stuff. So once I let that go last year and found out what Tomi Adeyemi actually looks like, and felt immediately like I resonate with her. And it's funny because for years my mom would say to me, before I got locks, Liv, if you got locks, they'd look amazing. I imagine you looking like Toni Morrison or someone. But it wasn't until last year when I saw Tomi Adeyemi that those words from my mom circled back around. And then now Tomi Adeyemi and Toni Morrison are women I look at and feel represented and feel like, yeah, I could be a writer too. So when the announcement came out that this book will be made into a film adaptation and the cast was announced, I started reading the book that night. So this book I started reading Wednesday night. So then that means I put my Jackie Collins book down for that night, because I'd read that book during the day. That's why I was supposed to read the book during the day, because I needed to focus on something else to read at night in bed. And that's when I started reading this. And this is my book for today. This has hooked me all morning. This is the reason why I'm recording this video now and not 2-3 hours ago. This book is the reason why the video I was going to record today, but something told me, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe you're supposed to read more and maybe record tomorrow. It will be done. But because this week is about rest, and rest came in the form of reading for me this week, clear message. So this book, I feel like I just need to keep pushing through. But that is what I wanted to share. get into a place of knowing. My evolving relationship with God is getting me closer and closer to a place of knowing, deeper and deeper into a place of knowing, because I know, but I am exploring how much I can know. And so this week, the instruction was to read and trust that everything else will be taken care of. So that's it. Those are my intentions for this video. This video is probably now my longest vlog, depending on how I edit it. But thank you for watching. And so what's to come? Let's find out together. But I appreciate you. I hope you have carved out time for rest, however rest looks like for you in this moment that you're watching this, whether you're in 2025 with me right now, or you're watching this in the future sometime because you're catching up because you've only just come across my page. But I appreciate you. I see you, I feel you, and I appreciate you. And I'll see you in the next video. Is it really 21/01/25? It's Sunday, the 26th of January, 2025.
Can't be Gina's. Gina would have strapped up. Gina would have strapped up, right?
I might need to take the pen out of these because there's... So I'm about to get into... Was going to record yesterday. Bounce it to today.